I am Isabella, but everyone calls me Bella. I am 68 years old and live in a red brick house in Carmel, Indiana. Every day I wake up with the same emptiness, gnawing at me from the inside. The coffee usually goes cold in the cup while I stand still, staring at the photos on the wall, like someone trying to recall the plot of a movie they saw long ago. There she is, my favorite one, from 1978. Me at 24 years old, laughing by the white river next to Michael, my street artist with black eyes that reflected the moonlight's glow. In that photo, I look like someone else, or maybe I look the same as always. And it's I who have forgotten how to be who I am. We met on a folk music night on Mass Ave. I had spent the entire day at Chase Bank, counting money that wasn't mine, serving customers who called me Miss Isabella without ever looking me in the eyes. I left work with tired legs, but my whole body craving dance. I went to a festival near the Manone Trail. Yellow lights traced circles on the ground. The smell of popcorn, sweat, and youth mingled in the air. I've been dancing ballet since I was a little girl, but never on a big stage, never for important audiences. That night, I danced in the street, on a patch of asphalt that became an impromptu stage. I spun, leaped, invented choreographies with the courage of someone pretending to have nothing to lose. In the middle of the music, I heard a different guitar. It was sweeter, more intimate. I turned my face, and that's when our eyes met. Michael, wearing a worn-out shirt, faded jeans, brown curls falling over his forehead, and a gaze that seemed to know more about me than I did myself. I looked away. After I stopped dancing, he approached, still holding the guitar. "You dance like the world is yours," he whispered, almost as if he were afraid of breaking the spell. I laughed, but it hurt inside. My world in truth was tiny. Conservative family engagement promised to John, the safe banker. Steady job at Chase Bank. Sunday dinners with the same menu and the same conversations. My world fit into a brown leather planner that my mother said was the best for me. Michael didn't fit into that planner. In the following days, he started showing up on Mass Avenue whenever I left the bank. He played folk music and made up songs just for me. He called me my office ballerina. Sometimes we'd walk along the Manone Trail. Other times, we'd sit on the grass by the White River, and I'd take my ballet slippers out of my bag and dance just for him, with the wind as my partner. In the photo hanging on my wall, the wind holds my hair, the water sparkles behind us, and my laughter seems eternal. "Come with me to Rio," he said one night, with the most serious face I'd ever seen. "I'm going back to Brazil. My parents are there, my friends, my music. But I only want to go if you come with me." I remember how the word Rio came out of his mouth, round and full of promise. It sounded like an invented place, half city, half dream. He spoke of Brazil as if it were an infinite stage, where I could dance without apologizing. "Leave the bank, Bella. An artist's life is hard, but it's life," he insisted. "You were born for more than stamping paper." At home, the speech was different. My mother served roast beef and repeated, "An artist's life doesn't pay the bills, Isabella. Michael is handsome, but that's not enough." My father, hidden behind his newspaper, added, "Safety first. John is a good man, has a future at the bank. You're not a little girl anymore. You need to think about tomorrow." No one asked what I wanted, or maybe I was too cowardly to answer. The appointed day arrived. I was 24 years old, with a backpack on my shoulders, ballet slippers in my bag, and my heart at war. I was supposed to meet Michael on the bridge over the White River, from where we'd take the bus to the airport. The green shirt he was wearing was a gift from me, bought the week before. I remember the sound of my shoes on the asphalt, the smell of gasoline, the exaggerated blue sky. From afar, I saw his silhouette, suitcase by his side, guitar leaning against the railing, eyes scanning the street. looking for me. He looked like a lighthouse. And the first, a boat afraid of the sea. In that moment, I froze. I felt my mother's hand holding my arm, not for real, but inside my head. I felt my father's phrase echoing, safety first. I saw the simple church where I could marry with yellow flowers, the predictable dinners, the well-dressed children, the family's approval. It was as if the future had split into two roads, and I had only a few seconds to choose. I turned and ran back. Back to the house, to the bank, to John, to the life others had designed for me. Michael stayed on the bridge, alone, with the suitcase, the guitar, and my absence. Days later, the mailman rang the doorbell. A white envelope, sender Michael Hayes. I looked at it like it was a ticking time bomb. My heart raced, but my hand refused to tear it open. I tucked the envelope deep into a drawer, alongside newspaper clippings, old receipts, and all the decisions I never had the courage to make. I didn't read it. I chose not to know. I chose to stay. 44 years flew by. I married John in a simple church, with yellow flowers, discreet music, promises that sounded more like contracts than passionate vows. He was a good man, proper, without great outbursts or deep abysses. We had 2 sons, Jim and Peter, who now live in Chicago. Grandchildren I see less than I'd like, more out of my own pride than their absence. The marriage was stable, made of routine, bills paid on time, safe vacations. John died of a heart attack 8 years ago. At the wake, while everyone cried, I felt strangely empty. I grieved, of course, but a part of me whispered, ashamed, it was better this way. Now no one expects you to be the perfect wife. I soon regretted the thought, but the phrase hammered in my head for days. After he was gone, the red brick house started speaking louder. Each room held a version of me I no longer fully recognized. The wife who served dinner at 7 p.m., the mother who helped with homework, the banker who walked up the street in heels at 8 a.m. Amid it all, a part of me kept staring at that 1978 photo in the corner of the living room, like a window to another life. In recent years, small lapses began to scare me. I forgot names of streets in Carmel where I'd walked for decades. Family recipes vanished from my mind mid-preparation. I'd swap salt for sugar, leave the oven on. The keys turned up in the most improbable places. The fridge, the bathroom cabinet, once in the mailbox. I laughed it off, pretending it was just elderly distraction. But inside, the fear grew. At IU Health, Dr. Ellis's office smelled of alcohol and false hopes. I sat stiffly, hands in my lap, waiting for an absolution that never came. He flipped through the papers, the scans, the results. Then he looked up and said, in that technical voice, pretending to be gentle, "We confirm earliest stage Alzheimer's. Bella, recent memory is affected first. Gradually, other areas follow. Medications can slow it. Therapies help, but it's a progressive disease." The word progressive echoed like a sentence without appeal. Write your life, he continued. Journals, photos, places, anything to anchor your memories. Your regrets, too. What isn't said now, time erases. I nodded, but barely heard the end. My head was spinning. If I forget who I was, who stays inside me? I thought. On Carmel's pristine street, the rain blurred everything, as if the world had failing memory too. That night at home, I grabbed a new notebook and wrote on the first page, regrets. None. I looked at the sentence and almost laughed out loud. It was such a big lie, it seemed like a joke. I slammed the notebook shut, and, as I went to put it in the desk drawer, another object stared back at me. The white envelope from 1978, yellowed by time. Months ago, I had already stumbled upon it during a cleaning. I remember running my finger over the faded stamp and shoving the envelope back into the depths of the drawer, like pushing a ghost into the basement. Fear of what it says, I confessed to the mirror that day. Fear of discovering who I could have been. This time, the fear came with a new urgency. The certainty that soon, I might not even remember who Michael was, what the White River meant, or what saying no on that bridge had signified. I sat at the table, the envelope in my trembling hands. I tore it open slowly, as if I could hurt the past. Inside was a yellowed paper, folded in three. His handwriting was still clear. My sweet Bella. I waited until the bus to the airport. I looked at every car passing by, thinking you'd come running with your slippers in hand. I cried watching Carmel fade on the horizon. Rio, without you makes no sense. I'll be back in 2 months. Our coffee on Mass Avenue? Deal. I won't give up on you. I'd never cried so much in my life. The paper shook in my hands. Each sentence was a door I'd closed 44 years earlier. He came back. He waited for me again. And me, I married routine. I returned to my brown leather planner, to John, to safety, to it was better this way. That night I cried until the pillow was soaked. I spoke aloud, alone in the bedroom. I loved you, Michael. But I chose fear. 3 days after the diagnosis, something changed in me. If Alzheimer's was going to steal my stories, I at least wanted to choose which ones would be the last to disappear. I grabbed the car, put the opened envelope in my bag, and drove toward Indianapolis. The road I knew by heart felt new, as if every signpost carried a question. Is this really what you want to take into oblivion? Window open, the wind tousling my gray hair. I felt a confidence I hadn't had at 24. It wasn't youthful confidence. It was late, stubborn courage, almost weary, but courage nonetheless. Mass Avenue Square had barely changed. The surrounding buildings had, with modern facades, some new cafes, some stores that didn't exist before, but the ground was still the same where I had danced. I entered an old cafe that had withstood time like me. It smelled of coffee with cinnamon and nostalgia. The barista, an old man with thick eyebrows, was drying cups. "Can I ask you something?" I said, sitting at the counter. "Do you remember a painter, musician, from the 80s? Michael. He played folk." He said he was waiting for a ballerina who vanished. The man looked at me intently, as if flipping through an invisible album of memories. "Michael Hayes," he murmured, testing the name. "He came here all the time. Drank, sang some sad songs. Talked about a ballerina who didn't show up on an important day. He stayed around here for months, waiting, until he went back to Brazil. He came back somewhat ill, if I recall. I heard years later that he died. Crown Hill Cemetery, if I'm not mistaken." His words opened a hole in the ground. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Michael had waited for me twice, at the bridge and at the cafe. And I had failed both times. I left the cafe with shaky legs and went to a simple hotel near the Monon Trail. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay listening to the distant sound of some train, the hum of the air conditioner, and the footsteps of the 24-year-old girl running from a bridge. I took the envelope again, ran my hand over his handwriting, as if I could touch his skin. "If I forget you, Michael, who am I?" I whispered into the dark. In the morning, I was resolved. The sky painted gray, a fine rain beginning to fall. I drove to Crown Hill Cemetery. The tall trees seemed like guardians of secrets no one wanted to hear in time. I asked at the administration office, got a map, followed the directions to section 12. There it was, Michael Hayes. 1952-2023. Loved beyond time. There were dried flowers by the headstone and a guitar leaning against the stone, already worn by the rain. I knelt on the damp ground, feeling the cold rise through my knees. I ran my fingers over the letters of his name. "I've arrived, love. Late, as always. Forgive me." My voice came out hoarse, small. I stayed there for a long time, perhaps minutes, perhaps hours. Time, that morning, didn't obey clocks. I took a piece of paper from my bag and a pen. My hands trembled, but the writing came out steady. "Michael, forgive the cowardly girl. You were my stage when I was afraid to exist. I chose to stay because I didn't know how to leave. I married routine, did what was expected of me. I don't regret the children I had. John was a good husband, but I regret running away from myself. Today, Alzheimer's takes me bit by bit, but I carry you with me in the memories that remain. Tell the angels, I danced for you today, in my thoughts, by the White River. Thank you for waiting. Know that I loved you. I folded the paper carefully and placed it under a small stone on top of the headstone. I touched the guitar, felt the cold wood, imagined the songs he made for me in languages I never heard. The rain began to thicken, washing my tears, blending past and present into one river. I returned to Carmel lighter, as if I'd repaid an old debt to the world. 3 months have passed since that day. I feel Alzheimer's circling me with more boldness. Names vanish, words escape. Sometimes I enter a room and forget why. I leave the stove on, look for shoes I'm wearing, call neighbors by the wrong names. Sometimes I laugh, sometimes I break down, but something has changed. When I look at the 1978 photo on the wall, I no longer see only what I lost. I see a part of me that existed, that danced, that was loved. I see the woman I could have been and accept that I wasn't. I also see the woman I actually was: daughter, wife, mother, grandmother, banker, living room ballerina. Not better, not worse, just human. At 68, I accept my fate. It was my choice, and it wasn't. I was young, scared, trapped in expectations that now seem ridiculous, but back then were real walls. I pay the price, yes, but I no longer run from the bill. To you who are listening to me now, if someone one day finds these pages when I can no longer read my own name, I want to say one simple and true thing: don't be afraid to live a great love. Don't let cowardice paralyze you, family pressure you, society convince you that safety is more important than feeling. Life is a whisper, a short interval between birth and a headstone. In the end, what remains is you with yourself, in the silence of your soul. And in that silence, what matters isn't what did others think, but who did I allow myself to be. I am Bella. One day I danced for Michael Hayes by the White River. The next day, I ran from him. Today, with my memory unraveling, I finally had the courage to return to the past. And perhaps that's what will save me. Even when I no longer remember anyone's name, somewhere inside me, a ballerina still spins, stubborn, under the yellow lights of the Manon Trail.